you do use somewhat different terminology for a villain. For example, villains do have the same basic two qualifiers, two strains of villains you can have, just like heroes you can have aspirational or cathartic motivational. You can have similar two strains of villains, but you don't want to call a villain aspirational, You can have a villain as an elemental evil, meaning that they are just bad from the start. There's no trauma that they went through. There's no they're just evil. They're just incarnate evil. And you need those villains. Again, just like the aspirational heroes, you can't have a lot of them running around, but they need to be there because there is just real straight up evil in the world. And a lot of people don't want to think about that, and a lot of writers fall into the trap of giving all of their villains these sympathetic backstories, and they make them the sympathetic villain or the tragic villain, and tragic villains are great. They do serve as a warning, hey, don't do that, don't respond like that to traumas and whatnot. But they are not the be all and end all of evil. And let me come at this and illustrate it in a certain way. I'm going to read a clip or a little paragraph here. This is a paragraph from Pope Paul VI. He was talking about Satan, and it's so we're getting a little theology here, but bear with me because I'm gonna apply this to fictional characters and the creation of characters and why I believe you need those elemental evil heroes. Now, what he's saying here, the wording that he uses, you can't really apply theologically all together because to some extent, we don't believe, we're not Taoists, right? We don't believe that that Satan is the equal to God, the equal evil to God's equal good, right? We don't believe that. To some extent, anything evil is a corruption of what it should be good. But in the extent of from our earthly perspective, I think this is a lot of truth to this. So let me just read this little paragraph here and think about it in terms of villains, in terms of the types of villains you'd put in stories. And this is from Pope Paul VI, his 1972 address. He says, "Why do we not speak about the devil anymore? We do not speak about it because we lack a visible experience. We believe that what we do not see does not exist. Instead, we fight against evil. But what is evil? We are speaking of evil as a deficiency, a lack of something. If someone is ill, he lacks health. If someone is poor, he lacks money, and so on. This is not the case when we speak about the devil. That is why this is a terrible reality. We are not dealing with a deficiency, an evil caused by a lack of something. We must realize that we face an efficiency that is evil in itself, an existing evil, an evil that is a person, an evil that we cannot classify as corruption of goodness. We are speaking of an affirmation of evil, and if this does not frighten us, it should. This exists in the world. There is evil in the world. However you contextualize it or believe it, from your worldview or religious perspective or whatever, evil exists in the world. Some people truly give themselves over to evil, and it's a choice. I mean, maybe they've had bad things happen to them, but it really is an elemental choice. Evil exists in the world, and we can't just have every villain run around with but they had a hard life. Oh, but it was a hard time that they had. This was the biggest crap problem with the Joker movie. This is why that Joker movie is straight up trash from beginning to end. And everybody pretends and tries to, no, but it doesn't glorify what he does. It does. He is a protagonist of the movie. It doesn't have to give him a gold star for doing it, but it must. For you to keep going with that film as a viewer, you must engage with the protagonist. You must root for them. You must sympathize with them, or it doesn't work. He shouldn't be the protagonist then. So stop trying to tell me, no, it doesn't make him sympathetic. No, he's the protagonist of the film. Shut up. That's a garbage take on the Joker. This is how Killing Joke, we talked about that earlier, just barely kind of skirted this issue by the backstory it gave for the Joker wasn't really, maybe it's his backstory, maybe it's not. Now, the Joker's an interesting character. He should be an elemental villain. And you might say, well, how can he be an elemental villain? Because he's a human. He's not a superpowered being. He's not an alien or another dimensional, He's humans, and humans do have tragic backstories. Yeah, but this is fiction. It's kind of like the first Halloween by John Carpenter. John Carpenter wanted to write a elemental boogeyman story. Evil exists in the world, and this is an evil. This child, Michael Myers, is elementally evil. And he kicked and screamed. He did not want to do Halloween 2, but they desperately wanted sequels. Everybody's got to have sequels. And then, he had to kind of, and there's a stupid backstory. I don't like where Halloween 2 takes it because, Laurie Strode was actually his sister, and there's all these like rules and reasons why, he's still evil, he's still bad, and he's not, you don't just kind of feel sorry for, but he was just a little boy. And that when you see him as a little boy at the beginning of Halloween 1, the original Halloween film, and you see that, they pull the clown mask off and it's a little boy with a knife, the effect that it's supposed to have on you is, oh my gosh, that is straight up evil. As the doctor says, I began to realize there's no good in this child's soul. He is just a void. He is straight up evil. And yeah, that doesn't work in real life necessarily, but the elemental villains are like the aspirational heroes in that they need to be that from the start, and we're dealing in stories and how stories recontextualize things for us. So the Joker's like that. Yeah, he's a human being. Yeah, in all probability, he's probably faced this or that or whatever, but he's supposed to just represent elemental evil for us. If once you start nailing down a backstory, then you've totally broken his archetype. You screwed him beyond anything. Oh, but the woke didn't like that movie, so I gotta support it. Ugh. People were it was just like mass stupidity when that movie came out, and how dare you speak against it? It was ridiculous. Michael Scambati says, why do you think Joker resonates with broken and hurting people? I don't think he resonates. I don't think he should resonate with broken and hurting people. I really don't. I think if broken and hurting people are resonating with the Joker, then they one thing, on the one hand, they better get some help because they are not resonating with the right kind of character. On the other hand, they might be looking at stupid movies like that Joker movie, which tries to present him as, we like it. We like it when we see heroes, or characters rather, justifiably do bad things. Yeah, but it was because of this in their past. Whether you admit it or not, you like that because it lets you off the hook. It says, yeah, but so yeah, I do this. I cheat a little bit here and there. I do this, and there. But, hey, it's because of the things I've been through. And let's just all give each other a break, okay? No, stories are there to really hardline things for us and put things into perspective. Yeah, I don't think broken people, hurting people should ever resonate with the Joker. What a horrible thing to do. That's not healthy at all. And if it happens, if someone listening to me is someone who kind of resonated with the Joker, it's probably because you read a horrible story about the Joker, that he's supposed to be straight up evil that you get up and run from. When you steal that pencil from work, and you are faced with what evil is at the end of that slippery slope with the Joker, and you turn around and run. You put that pencil back and get out of there. Studio Super 999 says, in our culture, these guys that try to make these villains sympathetic also make them icons for their alphabet groups. Yeah, and sympathizing with evil is a current day problem. Yeah, I mean, look at that Cruella, for example, right? Let's take a woman who skins puppies to make jackets. Not like, even this is horrible, but even like, letting them grow to full, whatever. No, she skins puppies just to make her fur coats. And these idiotic woke people with the mental illness haircuts and all this nonsense go, I think she's misunderstood. Let's make her the hero of a story. It is just, you're absolutely right. They take these villains and they try to, well, there are reasons that they kind of act like this. Maybe normal society isn't giving them a fair shake because they want to excuse their own bad behavior. They want to excuse their own lack of virtue. And if the easiest way to do that is to try to remake norms around you, remake normal society 100% around you. Let's redefine what is man and what is woman. Let's redefine all of these things that you used to, live in the real world with, so that they can decide that they don't have to change. They don't have to dare strive toward any kind of normal, you know, uh, standard. It's traumatic villains are great, and but they're there to serve as a warning. Don't do that. When Batman the Animated Series really developed Two Face, and now you've got a character who fought. Well, it developed it, but um, Long Halloween developed it before that. But you've got a character who really is trying to do good and just sees the evil of it, and eventually falls, and then the acid in the face and everything, or however it plays out according to the telling, fire or whatever. But you've got this aspect to it where it's something bad happened to me, and now I just decide that there's no point to anything. It's all by chance. The whole world is just a toss of a coin, because something bad happened to me, and I can't bear to conceive of the world otherwise. So now it's just, well, I'll just kill you if this coin tells me to. You see how ridiculous. Now, it's a great character, and it's written really, really well when done well, but it's there to show you how absurd that sounds. So that when something bad happens to you, yeah, it sucks, and maybe it's really bad, and it really sucks, but you can't let that alter your whole worldview. It's like a petulant child reacting to trauma. Studio Super for 9.99, thank you very much, says, by sympathizing with these villains, they admit they don't believe they have a will. They believe they are nothing more than passengers to life's circumstances. They want to be treated equally. And that's the point. I mean, look at Batman. Batman's a great example, or any cathartic motivational hero that's written well, a great example. Something horrible happened to Bruce Wayne. And he chose what psychologists call positive activism. He chose to dedicate the rest of his life so that other people won't have to deal with that, or to help others who might be, on the way, or you're already dealing with that or whatever. He could have just said, "Oh, screw it. The world means nothing. Everything's, these horrible things can happen. Then I say, to heck with you, world." And, he could have become a villain easily. And that's why the cool thing about Batman is that all of his villains written well should be kind of dark mirrors of him, and that they chose the wrong way where he chose the right way, So yeah, we'll put Arcade Burns for $5. Thank you so much. Said, "Hi, Prof. Glad I could make a show. Worst is the constant unearned villain redemption these days. It reeks of a warped kind of deathbed conversion." Yeah, I agree. Villains are villains, and some are just straight up evil. Now, a good, well-developed conversion is fine. But it can't be every villain. And posts his whole methods online, known as the hero. The hero breaker. I like that. That's a cool concept, because that's what makes, for example, the Joker so fascinating. Is the aspect that the Joker. We should do a whole stream on the Joker sometime. I feel like we've covered a lot of him this time, but the Joker can't stand that Batman exists, because in Batman, the Joker sees somebody who believes just as strongly in something as the Joker believes in nothing. Let me say that again. In Batman, the Joker sees somebody who believes just as strongly in something as the Joker believes in nothing. And that drives him crazy. He has to tear down Batman. He has to make Batman kill. He has to make Batman go against his code, to prove to him that there is nothing to really hold on to in this world, to prove to him this. And that's like the ultimate validation that he needs for himself. The irony of it is that the Joker exists to be against something. He doesn't exist for anything in himself. He just exists to tear down things, So, he's like the classic trickster villain. So that if he really ever truly did convince Batman to go against his code, the Joker's reason for being would kind of dissipate too. So it's fascinating when written well. The Joker and Batman stories are so fascinating. They're so well done, because we face that in everyday life. I mean, especially in today's culture. Stand up and say that you believe in one thing. You believe in this specifically divine thing or defined thing, And you've got people crawling out of the woodwork to say, yeah, but nuh-uh, what about? They want to problematize it so much, and try to tear you down because people can't handle people believing in things anymore. Because if you believe in something, even if you believe in evil, one of the reasons people have such a hard time with the true elemental evil is because if true elemental evil exists, then true elemental good has to exist, and that means you got a responsibility as to what you'll choose. I can't handle responsibility. It's all constructed.